And we are live. All right, looking at the warnings map, you can see we've got a lot to talk about today, so I really just want to dive right into it. Main stories we're going to be talking about on the eastern half of the country. We have the trailing effects of Winter Storm Nathaniel. That's going to be bringing some more rain and snow to the Midwest, Northeast, and then some heavy rain down to the Southeast. And then there's actually going to be another little system trailing right behind that could bring some more rain and snow to the eastern half of the country. Now, on the western half of the country, we have a moderate atmospheric river that's going to stall out for a number of days over California, becoming a major winter storm that could drop 7 inches of rain in some places and 7 feet of snow. It's going to be one of the biggest storms we've had this winter, so that's our top story for the day, and we're really going to dive into that. Now, as always, if you're watching this video after the live stream, you'll be able to click down in the time bar below to go directly to the story or the region that you're interested in and want to hear about. But for right now, let's just dive right in because, like I said, there is a lot to talk about. You can see winter storm warnings all over the country, especially in California, where 7 feet of snow are possible. But that's the top story. We'll get to that one at the end of the video, saving best for last today. So the first thing I want to go over is just the national outlook. I like to get a nice broad view of what's going on before we actually dive into the regions. So taking a broad look, you see the lingering effects of the snow in the west. That is the same system that brought some rain and snow to California on Sunday and Monday. You can see that's starting to move off, and that's actually the system that's trailing behind Winter Storm Nathaniel that will be affecting the eastern half of the country later in the week. But right now, the system affecting the eastern half of the country is Winter Storm Nathaniel here, still dropping some rain and snow over the Midwest and Southeast right now. Throughout the day today, it will be making its way up into the Northeast, actually dropping a little more snow than yesterday's forecast was showing. So that's some good news if you're in the Northeast and you like snow. And then you can also see there's just this trailing strip of heavy rain that will be moving through the Southeast throughout the day today. And then, like I said, keep an eye on that system that California saw Sunday, Monday. That's the system that's going to be moving into the eastern half of the country on Wednesday into Thursday. And you can see it's going to be affecting more the mid-Atlantic than the upper Midwest or Northeast. It's, as of right now, the forecast track has it a bit more southerly than Winter Storm Nathaniel's effects. And then, like I said, and as teasing as the top story of the day, that major winter storm and atmospheric river that's going to be flowing into California starting this evening. So we have a little calm before the storm right now. It's a little cloudy with not really any wind right now, but come this evening, that's when the action's going to start. And as you can see, it's going to last all Wednesday. It'll be sticking around throughout Thursday and then not actually leaving California until Friday night into Saturday morning. So that's why even though it's a moderate atmospheric river, we're going to have massive accumulations of maybe 7 inches of rain, 7 feet of snow, because it's hanging out over California for such a long period of time. So we're really going to dive into that one later in the video because I'm pretty excited about that storm. And as always, 7 inches of rain and 7 feet of snow are the upper thresholds of what we might see, but overall, the average amount for widespread regions is looking like maybe 3 to 4 inches of rain and 3 to 4 feet of snow. So it's definitely a major storm, definitely going to be helping us out with the extreme drought that California is in. Although there are some threats associated with that atmospheric river, mostly due to flash flooding and the threat of mudslides and debris flows as you mix all that rain with the burn scars that we had from the fires this last season. I'm definitely going to be diving into that towards the end of the video because that is the main weather threat for the day today. What I always like to do is just click through and take a look at what kind of precipitation we should be expecting throughout the day today. So by late Tuesday night, you can see the southeast is picking up the most rainfall. That's where we have those trailing strip down from Winter Storm Nathaniel. And then Northern California starts to see the effects of that atmospheric river. And then right here in Utah, Nevada, and Arizona, that's all snow, as well as the Midwest and Northeast. So for those locations, it's better to look at the snow accumulation right there. So by the end of today, this is the snowfall that we can expect. You can see very northern parts of California most likely already picking up a foot of snow. And then as Winter Storm Nathaniel works its way across the Midwest and into the Northeast, getting maybe 6 inches at the most throughout those locations, not nearly as much as the major winter storm on the West Coast. And you can see Arizona actually picking up maybe another foot of snow as that one system moves throughout the day today. So that's some good news for Arizona as well. Let's just take a sneak peek at what the rest of the week is going to look like. You can see not that much action going on in the Midwest or Northeast. We do have that second system that brings some snow to the southern parts of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. But the main action is in California here, as that's showing over 4 feet of snow. Some locations may be picking up 7. So very excited about that, if you can't tell just by how much I keep mentioning that. So this is the overall pattern that's driving the weather that we're going to be seeing over the next couple days. You can see this relative ridge over the southeast right here. We're going to see some very above average temperatures in the southeast throughout the day today, which I'll show you in a second. But I always like looking at the overall pattern. We got this big trough here going up to where Winter Storm Nathaniel is moving into the Midwest right there. So you can see that's going to be moving throughout the day today into this afternoon. And then watch what happens as it works into the Northeast. It just kind of flattens out. And that's why the Northeast will be picking up maybe 3 to 5 inches of snow with Winter Storm Nathaniel as it moves throughout the day today. But you can see it really loses that whole vertical setup that you want to have if you're a fan of snow accumulation and big winter storms. You can see by the time it hits the Northeast, it's basically lost all of its energy. But the good news is there is another little system behind it, and that is going to be coming in a little bit farther south. That's the one that's bringing snow to southern Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And I'd have to tell you, this is the system that just came through California. It wasn't all that impressive. Dropped less than an inch of rain, some snow in the mountains, but overall pretty weak system. So don't expect too much from this one as it moves through the eastern half of the country. And then throughout, let's go back to Tuesday so we can really see this next one come in. Keep your eye on the left part of the screen here. This is the major trough and atmospheric river, major winter storm, low pressure system, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be building into California tonight and lasting throughout the day Friday. So that's the reason these accumulations are so big. You can see how long it just hangs out right over California. That's Tuesday night. You can see it's already starting to push into Northern California. Then we click through Wednesday, through Thursday, through Friday, it's still over California. So that's what's allowing those accumulations to reach 7 inches for rain and possibly 7 feet for snow. Pretty exciting. So just going back to the start there, you can see that overall setup as of right now is this big trough to a big ridge over the southeast, and that's affecting the southeast temperatures in a big way. You can see 25 to 30 degrees above average, and that blob of extremely above average air is just going to be moving across the southeast throughout the day today. Afternoon temperatures in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida should be 20 to 25 degrees above average, possibly even reaching 80s in some places. You can see also Tuesday afternoon, there's this it basically perfectly matches this setup for the over overlying flow of what's going on. You've got that big trough right there, the big ridge right here. Underneath the ridge, you have above average temperatures. Underneath the trough, you have below average temperatures. And keep your eye on this blob of cold air. That's going to be working its way into the Midwest throughout Wednesday and Thursday. You guys are going to have maybe 20 to 25 degrees below average temperatures. So that's a pretty big story going on there as well. So the first region that I want to dive into is the Midwest, because that's seeing the very final lingering effects of Winter Storm Nathaniel as of right now. You can see this is Winter Storm Nathaniel dropping some light snow early this morning. As we get into around right now and into this afternoon, you can see Winter Storm Nathaniel starting to push off into the northeast, but parts of Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio still picking up some light snow and rain with Winter Storm Nathaniel. And then you see it's going to move off into the northeast. Now, I did mention there's that other little system trailing behind it, the one that California had Sunday and Monday, pretty weak system, didn't bring all that much. Well, that system will be moving across the country. Keep your eye on it to see if it gets up into the Midwest. It does hit the southern portions of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, but like I said, that system is trailing or is forecasted to be a little farther south than Winter Storm Nathaniel was showing. So interesting to see there. We can see that on this map perfectly. There's that little blob where Winter Storm Nathaniel is. That's going to be moving across the Midwest throughout the day today and then moving into the Northeast. That second little system trailing behind it is going to be following through Wednesday morning. It'll be getting close to the Midwest, but like I said, it's traveling a little farther south. So the major effects of that one will be in the southern portions of these states here. Although I'm not expecting too much with that system because I just experienced it in California and it was pretty weak. I'm not going to lie. So don't expect too much with that second system. So this is what was dropping this morning. You can see few of the Midwest states picking up some decent snow early this morning as we get into around 7 a.m. this morning. Wisconsin, Michigan picking up maybe 0.05 to 0.1 inches per hour of snow, while the warmer locations pick up a little more rain. Then as we get into this afternoon, the snow is just the very lingering last effects of Winter Storm Nathaniel as Michigan and Wisconsin pick up maybe another 0.1 to 0.2 inches of snow right there. Then it's going to clear up as we work into early Wednesday morning. That second little system starts to come through. So this is about 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And you can see this snow here, how it's traveling a little farther south. That snow is just going to push in to the southern parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, not really getting up into Wisconsin or Michigan. And it moves through pretty fast. By Thursday morning, it's already gone. So while that massive winter storm is sitting over California for 4 days, that little tiny system here just moves through the Midwest in a matter of 24 hours. So accumulations with that one aren't going to be all that impressive. We could take a look at what those accumulations could be right here. So this is the first system. That's the last effects of Winter Storm Nathaniel. We did pick up over a foot throughout Iowa and Missouri, very northern parts of Missouri yesterday, but these are the trailing effects as of right now. Maybe another 3 to 5 inches to fall. Nothing too excessive, but it's something, and we'll take it. One more thing that I should mention, I really should have mentioned earlier, coming back here, the spots to watch out for are the transition zones between the snow and the rain. That's where we get this freezing rain and ice, and that has been one of the major impacts with Winter Storm Nathaniel, and it'll continue to be one of the major impacts. So right on the border of where the snow accumulations end, that's right where you're on the freezing temperature line. So that's where you're likely to see some of that rain turn into ice and freezing rain. So if you live along here where it looks like it's shaded, might want to just watch out while you're driving. You probably know how to drive in winter conditions a lot better than I do, but just something to keep your thoughts on. So you can see maybe 3 to 5 more inches of snow falling with Winter Storm Nathaniel. Then that second system comes through, and you can see it's mostly in the southern areas, but like I said, pretty weak system moving through very rapidly, so only about 1 to 2 inches being picked up throughout the day Wednesday as that system moves through. So we can also take a more local look as Winter Storm Nathaniel finally moves through. By about this time tomorrow, Chicago, you could pick up another 5 to 6 inches of snow. So that's some pretty good news there. There's still some snow to come. And then with that next little system, St. Louis, you could be picking up maybe an inch of snow. Louisville, little over an inch of snow. Cincinnati, inch of snow as well. Like I said, not a very impressive system, but it is something. So one other aspect that we're still dealing with these two systems, Winter Storm Nathaniel and that second little system, I doubt it'll even get named because it looks like it's so weak, but it's the extreme wind gusts. This is something to think about. Earlier this morning, we had 35 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts in Illinois, and then that's going to move east. We start to get more extreme wind gusts up in Michigan, Wisconsin, parts of Kentucky, maybe getting 30 to 40 miles per hour at around 1 p.m. sometime this afternoon. Kentucky could be seeing 35 to 40 mile per hour winds. So that's another thing that you always have to keep in mind. Extreme winds lasting throughout this evening as well, and then finally kind of easing up and weakening as we move into Wednesday morning and throughout the day Wednesday. And then as that second little system comes in, you can almost see it move across the screen here as it goes up into the northeast, where we could get some extreme winds up there later. So that is where we're going to go now, up to the northeast. And we'll start back at the wide view of what's going on, because that's a good way to just get a general look of what's happening. We got Winter Storm Nathaniel. Early this morning, it was bringing some rain and snow to the Midwest. And throughout the day today, starting actually about right now, the Northeast is going to start to feel the effects of Winter Storm Nathaniel. And that's going to move in and drop some decent rain and snow throughout the day today. It's nothing to get too excited about. Not calling it a major storm anymore. I'll show you in a sec why that is. But you can see it drops some rain and snow throughout the day today. By tomorrow morning, you might have some lingering light snow just over the area, but for the most part, it's already gone within the next 24 hours. And then that second little system, you can keep your eye on it here. That's the one that just came through California. Let's see if that makes its way up into the Northeast. Not so much. It looks like it's, as of right now, it's traveling a little bit too far south, although that is for Thursday morning. So that one is subject to change. It's a little bit farther off in the weather forecast, so that one could change by the time it gets there. I'm kind of hoping it does, because the Northeast just missed out on this last Winter Storm Nathaniel. They didn't miss out. They're maybe going to get 4 to 6 inches of snow today in some places, but certainly not the foot of snow that we saw in parts of the Central Plains and Midwest with that storm. And it's certainly not the 7 feet of snow we're getting in California throughout this week. So I'd almost kind of be happy if that second little system moved up into the Northeast and gave them something. We could take a better look at it here. That's Winter Storm Nathaniel. You can see it move through the Midwest, and something that really explains why the Northeast isn't going to get too much snow with this. If you want a lot of snow, you want these isobars to be almost straight north to south. You want them to be super vertical. That usually means it's a lot stronger of a system. It's packing a lot more energy and power. And watch what happens to Winter Storm Nathaniel as it moves into the Northeast. It just flattens out. So you can see we are still going to be some below freezing temperatures. So it will allow some snow to fall, but not all that much. And then here's that second system. What we're hoping is that it pushes up a little farther north, but as of right now, the forecast models are showing that the real bulk of this trough will be pushing through the mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast, as of right now, will be missing out on that one. So let's actually take a look at the precipitation. Like I said, started early this morning. Pennsylvania started to get that freezing rain and ice. That, like I said earlier, has been the major story for Winter Storm Nathaniel over the last couple days as it moved through the plains, then the Midwest, and now into the Northeast. The major kind of threat, the major thing to worry about has been the ice, which happens in the separation of where there's snow, rain, freezing temperatures, above freezing temperatures. Right in that little middle ground is where you get that freezing rain and ice, which creates pretty treacherous driving conditions. I actually saw one video of cars just slipping around on this road that was pretty incredible and just shows what kind of driving conditions you can expect when you're picking up maybe 0.1 to 1/4 of an inch of ice, as we're going to be seeing with Nathaniel. So as we move into this afternoon, in the next couple of hours here, that's where Winter Storm Nathaniel, you can see it right there on the northwest corner of Pennsylvania. Now we're starting to drop some snow into Pennsylvania and some snow into New York. And it looks like there's actually going to be a few select locations that could be picking up 0.2 to 0.4 inches per hour. And again, there are some extreme winds with this one as well, so some of that snow that's falling could get whipped around by some of those extreme winds, decrease visibility. But again, I'm sure you guys know winter weather a lot better than I do, so I'm sure you know what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do there. So as we move into this evening, you can see the snow with Winter Storm Nathaniel as it moves off the coast. The snow is going to stick around New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, parts of Maine, Massachusetts, picking up some light snow. Higher elevations and colder locations could be getting maybe 0.2 inches per hour of snow if you're lucky. And I think that's just the summary of Winter Storm Nathaniel. It's going to be moving through the northeast pretty rapidly. You can see by tonight into early Wednesday morning, still picking up some light snow with this one. If we're lucky, it'll still be sticking around early tomorrow morning, and then it's gone by tomorrow afternoon. So it's just a quick hitter. It's going to be moving through the northeast relatively rapidly. And as I said, it is dropping more snow than at least the forecast models were showing yesterday. So although the accumulations aren't that great, it's at least improved from what they were originally supposed to be. So we see the first little drops of snow falling early this morning. As we get into this afternoon, that's when western New York starts to pick up maybe an inch or two. Eastern parts of Pennsylvania getting maybe an inch of snow as well. Then as we move into this evening, that's where western parts of New York could be picking up maybe 2 to 4 inches, and then we start to see it spread further east and north into the northeast. As we get into tonight and early Wednesday morning, that's where the snow has basically spread out over the northeast. Some locations, colder and higher elevation, you could be picking up maybe 2 to 5 inches by tonight. So that's something to look forward to. Original forecast models were showing maybe 2 to 3 inches, so we'll take what we can get. And then as we get into Wednesday afternoon, that's where parts of New York could possibly pick up 5 inches by this time. Eastern parts of Pennsylvania, maybe in that 2 to 3 inch range. And then southern Vermont, New Hampshire, you might be getting 2 to 4 inches with this one as well. So we continue to click through there. Overall, like I said, it moves through fast, so you're not going to have all that much time to really pack on the accumulations here. But watch that second system. I might have missed it a little bit. Right there, that's the second system moving in around 1 a.m. Thursday. And you can see it's just to the south of the northeast. We're not really adding on to any of these totals with that second system. So what I'm going to be watching and what I'll be forecasting on in future videos is if that system could push a little farther north and give the northeast the snow that it wants. Certainly crossing my fingers, hoping that it does. Let's take a more local look. That's about 7 a.m. this morning. Nothing. And then by the time we get into 1 p.m. this afternoon, that's where Buffalo may be picking up 2 inches of snow. Most places in western New York at this point, 1/2 inch to 2 inches of snow. Then, by this evening, that's the majority of the snow has already fallen. That's where we're getting some locations up to 3 to 4 inches, and then packing on throughout the night, and then by tomorrow morning, Winter Storm Nathaniel's gone. So overall, this is a good local look at what we can expect. New York City, maybe 1.5 inches. Syracuse, 5 inches. And more western parts of New York, closer to the lakes, could be getting 4 to 5 inches of snow with that one. So the next place I want to look at is the southeast. And even though Winter Storm Nathaniel is way up in the Midwest, working its way into the Northeast, we're actually seeing the trailing rain effects from Winter Storm Nathaniel. You can see this strip of heavy rain just stretching right off of Winter Storm Nathaniel, and that's going to be moving through the southeast throughout the day today. So that's the main thing we're going to be talking about there, getting some decent rain accumulations with that heavy rain moving through. And then we also have extremely above average temperatures moving through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas, and Florida for that matter too, throughout the day today. Maybe getting 75, 80 degrees in mid-January. So just again, there you see Winter Storm Nathaniel, the strip of rain that's going to be going through the southeast throughout the day today. And then we have this second system here. That's going to be, it's a low pressure system, so you think about the winds, they're coming like this. That's going to be pushing some warm air and moisture into the southeast as we get into early Wednesday morning, and then that's going to allow some more rainfall over Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas throughout the day Wednesday. As you see, that system right there move through. And that's the one that the forecast models aren't as confident in right now. So we'll have to see what happens there. I'll definitely be reporting on that one when I do my forecast video tomorrow morning. So if we want to take a look at what's going on, there's Winter Storm Nathaniel. So as it moves up through the Midwest and Northeast, think of the trailing rain strip that we saw on that other map just right there. And you can see there's a bit of a ridge over the southeast. So that's what's, and these winds pushing in like this, that's what's really driving in those above average temperatures. Like I said, 25 to 30 degrees above average. And then there's that second system there. It's going to do a relatively similar pattern as Winter Storm Nathaniel. It's going to move right north of the southeast, actually a little bit closer. So we might even get some stronger effects from this system for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, as it pushes in more warm, moist air, picking up more rain throughout the day Wednesday as that one moves off the coast. So first thing I want to look at is the rain. This was early this morning. Very heavy rain, maybe 0.2 to 0.5 inches per hour, stretching all the way from very eastern tip of Louisiana through Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, working its way into the Carolinas early this morning. Now by this afternoon, majority of that is gone. There are some lingering showers for this evening, working into early Wednesday morning. Some isolated places where we could still be picking up some heavy rain, but the real action starts when that second system starts to move in tomorrow morning. So you can see it up there. You can see a very tiny little fleck of snow. That's what's going to be moving north of the southeast. In the southeast, we're going to be pushing in that moist, warm air, and that's what's going to allow these rain showers to occur early Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon for Georgia and South Carolina. And that's that low pressure system. You see it move off as Carolina continues to get rain throughout tomorrow evening. So that's something to look forward to. We got two little systems bringing some rain to the southeast. And I say look forward to because many locations in the southeast are actually below average precipitation right now. So this rain is basically just beneficial. Occasionally when we have, or not occasionally, I'd say majority of the time when we're seeing heavy rain like what we had this morning, that would be a major concern for flooding, for streams overflowing. But when you're below average precipitation, you'll take what you can get, and that's actually some needed rainfall. So looking at the precipitation map here as we move throughout the day today, by Wednesday morning, this is what you're picking up. You can see southern parts of Mississippi getting another inch of rain, very western tip of Florida getting maybe an inch of rain, Alabama, Georgia, possibly 1 to 2 inches in the more northern locations where the heaviest rainfall was located. And then as we move through, you can see that as that second system passes through, some locations in central Alabama could be picking up over 2 inches of rain. And then widespread showers throughout the entire region, most places getting at least half an inch, maybe an inch. So, like I said, we're below average precipitation right now, so rainfall like this is definitely good news. The other thing we were talking about, let's go back to here so I could really show it on this map. We got Winter Storm Nathaniel up here, and then we just have this ridge right over the southeast. And that is what's causing these above average temperatures. So this is showing temperature anomaly. How many degrees above average are the temperatures? You can see early this morning, they were 20 to 25 degrees above average in Mississippi. And then this blob of warm air is just going to be moving across the southeast throughout the day today. Alabama at around 7 a.m. this morning. By this afternoon, it's going to be pushing into Georgia and the Carolinas. Again, 25 to 30 degrees above average due to that ridge that's moving through the region. So let's check out what kind of temperatures we can expect this afternoon. By this afternoon, that warm air you can see is already pushed into Georgia, the Carolinas, parts of Florida. So Mississippi, Alabama, you got your warm temperatures yesterday afternoon. Now it's the eastern part of the southeast to see those 30 degree above average temperatures. Getting maybe mid 70s to possibly even 80s in some places, which is fairly significant for the middle of January. And then that's finally going to move off, and we're going to return to more normal conditions as we work into Wednesday. All right, it is now time for the moment you've all been waiting for, the top story of the day. That major winter storm and atmospheric river that's going to be pushing into California this evening, dropping maybe 7 inches of rain and possibly 7 feet of snow to the Sierras. So very excited to talk about this story. Again, California is in extreme drought, so a storm like this is really going to help us out. But again, there are some threats that we'll have to go over, mostly due to the extreme winds that will be pushing in and the threat of mudslides and debris flows as you combine those huge rain accumulations with the burn scars from the fires that we had this last season. So we're going to be going over all of that, but first, I always like to take the wide view of the entire region. That's that low pressure system that was over California Sunday, Monday. Dropped some rain and snow, not all that much. Weak system overall. Now that's pushing through Nevada, Utah, Arizona, dropping some decent snow, especially over Arizona, throughout early this morning. But then you can see by this afternoon, that low is long gone, and we now have this major system pushing in on the left side of the screen. So by this afternoon, you can see it's right off the coast of California. And then as we push into this evening, Northern California starts to feel the effects of this storm. On the coast, we're going to have extreme heavy rainfall, maybe 0.2 to 0.5 inches per hour. And then we start picking up some heavy snowfall around this time as well. And I'll really dive in as we look at the more local view of this, so I won't talk about this too much, but overall wide view, the thing to keep in mind here is how long it's staying over California. It pushes in this evening, then all Wednesday it's continuing to drop heavy rain and snow. Then as we work into Thursday, it's still dropping heavy rain and snow, almost gets a second wind, starts to almost strengthen again as it pushes in more moisture, which is due to the fact that it's an atmospheric river. I've got a pretty good graphic to show you later that explains how that whole atmospheric river phenomena works. So this is now working into Thursday, still feeling the effects of this storm. Working into Friday, still feeling it. So that's why the accumulations with this storm are going to be so significant. It's not the biggest atmospheric river we've ever seen. It's actually a rather moderate atmospheric river, but it's going to stall over California for basically this entire week. So that's what's going to allow the rain and snow to really accumulate. As you can see, it's working into Friday night by the time it finally moves off into Arizona and Nevada. And then I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's far enough into the forecast that I don't trust the models, but it looks like there's actually another little system behind that one, and then another system behind that. But again, that's very far into the forecast, so not even going to waste our time talking about that yet. So that's that little system that brought some rain and snow to California Sunday, Monday. That's moving over Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and that's just going to move off. It's basically already gone by this afternoon. Then that next system is working in, again, Tuesday evening. That's where we start to feel the effects into Northern California, and then watch how long this stalls and just continues to strengthen and grow right over California. So this is the ocean here. Think of the moisture above the ocean in the air. All these winds are just going to be funneling this moisture into California, hence why we're calling it an atmospheric river. And I've got a graphic for that I'll show you in a second. But take a look at how long this trough is going to hang out, working into Friday, all the way into Saturday. Finally, it moves off Friday night into Saturday morning. So, very exciting storm for California. That's what we have to look forward to throughout this week. So, first, let's take the wide view of what's going on right now, and then we'll really just dive into California with that atmospheric river. Right now, and early this morning, Nevada, Utah, parts of Arizona still picking up some snow with that low pressure system that moved through California Sunday, Monday. And then by this afternoon, that low pressure system's gone. Arizona's still picking up some snow, but again, it's actually some decent accumulations in Arizona. I won't downplay that one. But again, we got this major system pushing into California tonight, through Wednesday, through Thursday, through Friday. And you can almost see why we're calling this an atmospheric river. Think of that as just a river in the atmosphere funneling this moisture in, and you can see how long it lasts. Now, when it comes to the accumulated precipitation with this first area, before this system moves in, we'll just check out what's expected over Nevada, Utah, Arizona, maybe another 0.1 to 0.5 inches of rain. But the majority of that is actually going to be snow, so it's better to look at the snow accumulations, possibly another 10 inches to maybe a foot of snow still to drop in Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. So that's some good news there, even though I consider that one a weak system because it didn't drop all that much in California. Arizona may be picking up a foot, so that's actually a pretty good storm right there. And then take a quick look at California. There's a sneak peek of what we're going to be looking at in a second. First, I want to show the mechanism that's driving this system. It's an atmospheric river. And basically just think of it as a river in the atmosphere. Above us, there's a bunch of water vapor, and it gets funneled in, and then as it gets pushed over land and it rises up, it turns into clouds and then just drops right over us. And the fact I love the most on this page is that almost half of the annual precipitation for the West Coast comes from just a few atmospheric river events per year. So this storm that we're seeing this week is really going to help with our extreme drought situation and just our water situation in general. Now, a better way to visualize this atmospheric river as it pushes in, this is right about now. And earlier this morning, you can see this dry strip, not much moisture over California. But we have this low pressure system up here, and remember it's counterclockwise circulation around a low. I try not to get too sciencey here, but basically what that means is on the bottom of this low, that's where you're going to have these winds funneling in the moisture from the ocean. So take a look as we work into later into Tuesday, finally Tuesday afternoon, And then right here, Tuesday evening, this is when we're really starting to feel the effects of this low pressure system with its counterclockwise winds funneling in all this moisture from the ocean. That's why we call it an atmospheric river. You can zoom in here and really see how this works. So watch how long this hangs out. And this is, again, showing humidity or water vapor, basically moisture in the air. You can see this blue is where there's a lot of moisture, where it's brown, that's where it's dry air. And you can see the way this works. The winds just funnel in that moisture throughout Tuesday into Wednesday. It's especially over central California. That's where we're going to have the heaviest accumulations right down there, because that's where this atmospheric river is just going to be directed and concentrated throughout the largest period of time. You can see working all day Wednesday. It's just going to hang out. And remember I said this storm almost has a second wind. It gives us a big burst Tuesday evening into Monday morning, and then it almost strengthens again on Wednesday and funnels in even more moisture over California. I might be spending a little too long on this graphic right here, but it's just because it perfectly shows what's going on. The wind funneling that moisture in. It's a pretty awesome graphic to look at. And you can see we're working into Thursday afternoon, still feeling the effects of these winds pushing that moisture in right over Atascadero and Santa Maria. This is a perfect place to zoom in, because it's right in this location here where we could be seeing 7 inches to possibly even 10 inches of rainfall. So let's zoom out and just click through to finally see when this system is gone. You can see still over us as we get into Friday, just hanging out, not doing much there. So finally, let's just click way forward. As we get in to Saturday, that's when it's finally gone. I think there we go. That map was going a bit slow. I think it's taking up a little too much energy, so I'm just going to click out of there, go to the next slide. This shows basically the same thing. You can see dry air over California right now, and then as this storm comes in, those wind barbs pushing in the moisture, especially into central California, and hanging out all day Thursday, really starting to concentrate and almost like think of a river. If it's super wide, you have that water just gently moving through, and then when it concentrates and gets funneled down, that's where it's really going to start bringing in a lot of moisture and lots of clouds, which means lots of rain along the more inland and coastal areas, lots of snow in the higher elevation mountainous areas. So you see still bringing some effects Friday night into Saturday morning, and then that next little tiny system starts to move in Saturday. But that's a ways off in the forecast, so we won't really dive into that one yet. Now let's take a look at this precipitation on a more local scale as it actually moves in. So let's go to right about now. It's around 10 a.m. right now, so this is a good place to start. You see very coastal locations of California starting to pick up this rain, and then by this afternoon into this evening, we're going to start to feel the effects. It's going to start as just some light rain throughout the Bay Area, whereas coastal areas and more northern parts of California starting to already pick up that heavy snowfall, 0.2 to 0.4 inches per hour right there. And then as we work into tonight, that's when this storm is really going to hit Northern California. You can see North Bay at around 10 p.m. tonight. That's where you can expect heavy rainfall, maybe half an inch to an inch per hour of rain. And this is where I'm most concerned for the burn scars, especially the LNU lightning complex and the CZU lightning complex. When we're picking up this heavy rain, that could saturate the soils, lead to mudslides and debris flows, which I'll show you the graphics for in a second. That's my major concern when it comes to this storm. On the bright side, all this rain and snow going to be great for the drought. So as we move into 4 a.m., you can see the rain lightens up a little bit over the Bay Area as we start to get heavy snowfall rates into the Sierras, maybe picking up 0.5 inches per hour, most likely far more than that. as you can see how heavy those accumulations are. So right here, it looks like it's almost weakening over Northern California, and then there we get that second wind, and we'll see if that can actually push back up into the Bay Area, and it appears like it will. Remember that earlier map where it strengthens throughout Wednesday evening? That's what this map's showing as well. 10 p.m. Wednesday, we get almost a second wind for the storm where we start to get heavy snowfall in the mountains and heavy rain again in the Bay Area. And then as we move through again, all day Wednesday, working into Thursday, it finally starts to die down in Northern California, although still picking up some rain and snow. Majority of that action is going to be Southern California as we get into Thursday evening and Friday. And then right when that system is about to be leaving, check that out. We got another little system starting to push in 10 p.m. Friday, bringing more rain. Now this one looks like a much weaker system, and it's farther off in the forecast, so I won't spend too much time looking on that, although we'll certainly be looking at that in future forecast videos. So for showing the total precipitation, don't worry about the mountains too much here because we're going to look at the snow accumulations in a second. For this, mainly think about the Bay Area and the valley. So let's click through all the way to Friday just to take a good look at what we can expect with this storm overall. Santa Rosa, 2.5 inches. San Francisco, 2 inches. San Jose, 2 inches. And then right there, you'd think it would be lighter accumulations because it looks like a lighter color, but that's actually going to be greater accumulations. That could be maybe 4 inches, although some reports were maybe even saying the Santa Cruz Mountains had the potential for 8 inches of rain. I'll certainly try to take some videos and maybe post it to my channel so you guys can see that rainfall falling firsthand. So as we click through here, that's just a good look of what's going to happen. Sacramento maybe 2 inches, and select locations are going to be seeing more than this. And then again, the thing to keep in mind is those burn scars. We've got LNU lightning complex here, CZU lightning complex here, and SCU lightning complex here. And then we have the creek fire right about here. So what happens, although that's going to be snow, so not as much worry for the soils getting saturated. But when it comes to these Bay Area fires we had this last season, when you mix 2 to 3 inches of rain on top of those, that's where situations can get a little bit scary. And we'll talk more about that in a second. First, I want to look at the accumulated snowfall. You can see it starts to push in around 4 p.m. this afternoon, and then by 10 p.m. we've already picked up a foot of snow in California, so a foot in one day. And then as we work into tomorrow morning, that's where the Sierras have picked up about a foot, and then it just continues and continues and continues throughout the rest of the week. That's the great thing about this storm. It's actually a pretty great situation we have going on here because it's a moderate atmospheric river, which is helpful because, well, there are certainly some periods where we have very heavy rainfall rates, very heavy snowfall rates, but it's a moderate atmospheric river. So for the most part, we're just having these huge accumulations because it's dropping for 3 days straight. Whereas if all of this precipitation was focused in one day, that's where there would be a guarantee for mudslides and debris flows. So what I'm trying to say here is it's the best of both worlds because we're getting large accumulations, which is going to help us with our drought, but it's not as concentrated as if we got all these large accumulations in one day, which would be terrible when it comes to mudslides. So kind of the best of both worlds, although I say kind of because there is still that threat for those debris flows and mudslides, especially over our burn scars. But just clicking through, in total with this storm, you can see parts of Northern California, 4 feet of snow. Some locations in the Sierras are showing all the way up to 6 to 7 feet of snow. So while earlier models were showing 4 feet, and I was saying that could be a stretch because I didn't want to get too excited too early when the models were still unconfident, now I would say it's almost a guarantee we're going to get 4 feet of snow in the Sierras. The question is, how much more are we going to get than that? So that's a lot of the good news. Rain, snow, great for our water supply and our drought conditions. Now it's unfortunately time to get into some of the bad news, and part of that bad news has to do with the winds. So with some of our burn scars, you think of the fires that came through the North Bay and the South Bay. That burns a lot of your trees, weakens them, and when you start to see these extreme winds push in this afternoon into this evening, actually there was some fires up here as well, so really there's concern when it comes to these winds everywhere. The concern there is that the trees are weakened, so extreme winds will easily be able to knock some of those trees down. So that's one concern there. Let's just back it up and check out these winds as they come in. 10 a.m., about right now, it's the calm before the storm. And just looking out my window, I can tell you that is basically what's happening right now. But don't be lulled into thinking the storm's not coming, because by this afternoon, working into this evening, parts of Northern California start to see those 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, and then it starts getting gusty in the Bay Area as well. By tonight, that's where the bulk of this storm, around 10 p.m. tonight, is going to be hitting the Bay Area. I think that's going to be the strongest time that the Bay Area feels throughout this entire week, getting into tonight. So it's probably going to be some exciting weather tonight. Be on high alert because there are some threats like wind and mudslides. I do know there's even some evacuations in place where those burn scars are located. So be sure to check local resources when it comes to that kind of information. You can see 63 miles per hour up here in Northern California, and these extreme winds are going to continue to move across the state of California and then further south into Southern California. So the bulk of it hitting tonight, although we will continue to see the effects of this storm throughout the rest of the week. Not as windy, not as much rain and snow in Northern California working into Wednesday night and Thursday, but still definitely feeling the effects. In Southern California, that's where we do still feel the effects as we get later into the storm, because think about it, it's moving from northwest into California, so it makes sense that Southern California would be the latest to feel the effects and would also feel the effects longer. So as we get into 4 p.m., you can see Southern California still basically in the clear when the very northern parts of California are just getting blasted by rain and snow. As we get into tonight, Central Coast starts to pick up some light rain, and then this is the area to keep your eye on. This is the spot in Central California where the atmospheric river looks like it's just going to be funneling throughout this entire week. So we start to see that heavy rain build in 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. still funneling. As we get into 4 p.m. tomorrow, still funneling into Central California. The atmospheric river is basically over this area for over 24 hours. This is 4 a.m. Thursday. You can see it's still located over Central California. And that's 0.2 to 0.5 inches per hour. So you can do the math yourself. If you have 0.5 inches per hour for 24 hours, obviously that's an exaggeration, but yeah, you can get a lot of rain accumulation with that. And San Diego even starts to feel the effects of this as we work into 4 a.m. Friday. So they're kind of the last of this party because, again, it's moving from northwest down through California. Los Angeles getting into the effects maybe 10 p.m. on Thursday as we continue to get some heavy snowfall rates in the higher elevations. And then those heavy rainfall, 0.2 to 0.5 inches, work into very southern parts of California. Again, early Friday morning as the mountains continue to pick up more snow. Then finally, the system is gone 10 p.m. Friday. So again, this system moving into California this evening and not gone until Friday evening. So that's why the accumulations are as significant as they are. So this might be the best map of the entire video right here because it perfectly shows what's going to be happening on the Central Coast where I think the biggest impacts of this storm will be. Because remember, this is an atmospheric river and by the looks of it, it's funneling right over Central California for over 24 hours. And you can see working into Friday afternoon, exactly what we were looking at. 7 to 10 inches of rain in Central California. Tascadero, 7, Santa Maria, 4. But where we have these more brown colorings, you could be getting a foot of rain. So maybe it wasn't an exaggeration to say 0.5 inches per hour for 25 hours or 24 hours. So that is a perfect explanation of this atmospheric river as it goes right over California, funneling in moisture, dropping rain from Tuesday evening to Friday evening. When it comes to the snow accumulations in Southern California, you can see possibly 3 to 4 feet and maybe even more, maybe 5 to 6 feet as we work into the southern parts of these Sierras. So again, I just want to go over some of the threats because this is arguably the most important part of the forecast. One, we actually have a freeze warning until 8 a.m. Tuesday. So that's basically gone. Don't really have to worry about that anymore. This is the main thing that I'm worried about. It's the flash flood watch. So remember the fires that we had this last season, LNU Lightning Complex, CZU Lightning Complex, and the SCU Lightning Complex. Then we also have Carmel and Dolan. So how this works, I'll try to just explain it in simple terms really fast. You get these massive fires and they burn out all the vegetation. What that vegetation normally does is acts like a structure for a hillside and just holds that hillside in place. So you imagine once the fire comes through and burns out that vegetation, there's no longer anything holding that hillside in place. So when you get 2 to 3 inches of rain or 6 to 10 inches of rain, then all that soil becomes saturated or basically becomes liquid. Think of a sponge if it's dry and you soak it in water. That's what's happening to the soil. And when that happens, it basically becomes a liquid, and that's where you can get mudslides and debris flows. So it's basically taking a solid hillside, completely filling it with water, and then flowing because there's no longer vegetation to hold that hillside in place because the fires burnt it out. And I would say my biggest concern when it comes to this map, most likely, I would say my biggest concern is these more central coast burn scars because that's where the most heaviest rain. I don't think that's good grammar, but you know what I'm saying. That's where we're getting maybe 7 to 10 inches of rain, so I'm certainly concerned about those areas. The other spot on this map I'm especially concerned for are the Santa Cruz Mountains here because CZU Complex was a major fire and there's a lot of steep topography here, and I do know there are some evacuations in place. So be sure to check all your local resources when it comes to those kind of warnings. One other factor is the high wind warning. So this also has to do with our fires. Fires come through, weaken trees. When you get high winds, it can knock those trees down. And you can see we might get gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour. So that extreme windstorm we had last week, I would say this isn't showing as extreme, but this might rival that windstorm last week. Now that I think about it, 60 to 70 miles per hour, especially throughout the Santa Cruz Mountains. That's why that's one of my major concerns, and down here in the Central Coast as well. So if we look at the wind advisory, you can see basically the exact same thing, and then we have a similar graphics and similar story being told by the Sacramento National Weather Service Office. We got the winter storm warning, which means, travel delays, possibly whiteout conditions when you drop those heavy snowfall rates with the extreme winds. And you can see there is a high wind warning for majority of the Bay Area and the Valley late Tuesday night into midday Wednesday. So that's a key part right there. That's the bulk of this storm for the Bay Area and the Valley. Well, we'll continue to feel the effects of the storm all the way through Thursday. The real force of it is hitting us tonight and into early Wednesday. As you can see, winds up to 60 miles per hour, and that flash flood watch that we were just talking about, especially where you have those burn scars. And then the snow forecast, this is where the good news comes in, although there is the possibility of some extreme impacts you can see there. Dangerous for travel, possibly down trees with those winds, and possibly whiteout conditions as well as very heavy snowfall rates and extreme winds. But for the most part, I'm pretty excited about this snow because California is in an extreme drought and we could use all the rain and snow that we can get. And then so look at that snow forecast. 80 to 100 inches of snow throughout the Sierras. That's what the National Weather Service is saying right there. Maybe 40 to 80 in more northern spots. And then 80 to 100 up here as well. So guaranteed getting 4 feet. The question is how much more than 4 feet can we get? And then when it comes to the rain forecast, just to end it up here because this is a good way to end it, we got San Francisco 2 to 3 inches, Santa Rosa 3 to 4. Remember where the burn scars are in North Bay and South Bay and Central Coast. And then throughout the valley, we're getting maybe 2 to 3 inches of rain. Moderate impacts when it comes to the rain. We have extreme impacts when it comes to the snow because, again, 6 to 8 feet of snow is rather extreme. So I'm going to continue to do forecasts every single morning covering this major winter storm as it pushes through. I'll even try to get some video if I can tonight and tomorrow morning as the heaviest effects come through the Bay Area and the Santa Cruz Mountains. So if you want to stay updated with the storm or any of the other storms going on across the country, all the top weather stories every single day, you can subscribe to Holt Hanley Weather and stay tuned for this amazing atmospheric river as it pushes in, drops maybe 3 to 4 inches of rain in the Bay Area, 7 inches in the Central Coast, and maybe 7 feet of snow in the Sierra Nevada. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.